strategy to cut government spending. Now, remember, shortly after billionaire Elon Musk purchased Twitter, he was seen carrying a kitchen sink into the social networking company's headquarters. And that was taken as a sign that he was planning to get rid of, as the old saying goes, everything but the kitchen sink. And he ended up firing an estimated 80% of Twitter's staff. That was an aim to make it more efficient, right? Some put the number even higher, in fact. And now Elon Musk may be planning something very similar for the U.S. government. Former President Donald Trump has said that if he wins the election, he is going to appoint Elon Musk as the head of a new department. That's the Department of Government Efficiency, also referred to as Doge, right after his Dogecoin, his cryptocurrency. Now, Musk recently discussed his plans to cut government spending during a campaign event for Trump in New York on Sunday. And this is what he said when he was asked how much of the current administration's, $6.5 trillion in spending could be trimmed. Watch this.
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah!
Yes.
2 trillion.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're being taxed. You're being taxed. All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that.
Now, $2 trillion, that'd be a lot. Musk has not yet explained what he has in mind in order to cut that. Some believe it may include, though, removing government employees from the positions, firing them, much like he did to Twitter. Although, none of this is confirmed yet. Now, part of the rumors with that Trump wants to purge the government and fire the deep state and, whatever you want to frame it as, part of those rumors tie into the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 program. Trump, for his part, he says he had no involvement in that. He says he never even read the thing. It's about 1,000 pages. Trump denies that he's part of that plan. But, many people note that before Trump left office, he did lay out some of the, let's say, new laws in place that would allow him to do something like that. And it's alleged that he has a plan to purge what they're calling the deep state, the permanent government, right? The unofficial kind of unelected bureaucrats. And, he basically is planning now to fire around 50,000 federal workers, a lot of whom would probably be in more leadership positions. Not confirmed. It's a rumor. Trump did clear the way for it, and him, again, appointing Musk to this potential position suggests to many that he plans to do something similar to that. Back to the, Musk statement. If Elon Musk is, in fact, able to do what he says he's going to do, right, and reduce government spending by at least $2 trillion, not even at most, right? $2 trillion is the minimum here he's talking about. That would cover the deficit. Now, the federal government collected around $4.5 trillion in fiscal year of 2023. It spent close to $6.2 trillion. Some people would say, well, overspending was unforeseen expenses, like, for example, the war between Israel and Hamas and giving more money to Israel, giving more money to Taiwan for defense, giving more money to Zelensky, as we've been doing for a while now. That, of course, resulted in a deficit of around $1.7 trillion. If you go before that to when Donald Trump was president, many people say Donald Trump caused inflation and overspending. The technicality with that was the two COVID bailout bills, where the American people were supposed to get money to help them buy groceries and such, but the money went to paying for like gender studies in Pakistan and gave us a good $600 to $800. Those multi-trillion-dollar spending packages drove up the budget in the last years. And so, you could say that they have their budget and they tend to spend within it, but there's a lot of unforeseen circumstances that push it over the limit. And last year, the over the limit was around $1.7 trillion, a lot of money. But if Elon Musk is able to cut spending on the levels he says he could, it would mean the United States could cover that $1.7 trillion and a bit more, and then possibly begin chipping away at the national debt. Maybe we could start paying a little bit into that $33.2 trillion in debt that we had back last year alone, right? Fiscal year 2023 was $33.2 trillion in debt. And, again, still and counting. It's actually gone up quite a bit since then. Now that said, look, in other
Yeah,
news,
another
talking about Elon
1.4
Musk.
trillion.
Elon Musk is now facing a lawsuit over what he said, people saying he's going to get sued for, over his $1 million daily giveaway for his America PAC petition. Now, Larry Kranzner, he's the district attorney of Philadelphia. He has brought the lawsuit up against Musk's America PAC. Now, let me show you what the lawsuit actually says. This is from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus America PAC. And it says, one, America PAC. This is Elon Musk's political action committee. And Elon Musk, again, according to the lawsuit, are, quote, running an illegal lottery in Philadelphia as well as throughout Pennsylvania. And they say further in other words, America PAC and Musk are lulling Philadelphia citizens and others in the Commonwealth and other states in the upcoming election to give up their personal identifying information and make a political pledge in exchange for the chance to win $1 million. And they say, quote, that is a lottery. And it is undisputably an unlawful lottery, they claim. They say under unambiguous Pennsylvania law, all lotteries in Pennsylvania must be regulated by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The Commonwealth's lottery law establishes a lottery to be operated and administered by the state for the benefit of those 65 years of age or older. Now, some people would say that lottery is something you pay into. It creates a pool of money, and somebody wins that big pool of money, and the government takes 45%. Many people would say that's a lottery, not so much offering a prize or, in this case, offering a paid position, which is the legal technicality here, which is, again, what Elon Musk's PAC is doing. Now, as we discussed before, the petition through the Musk Political Action Committee, it's asking people to sign in support of the First and Second Amendments, right? Freedom of speech, right to bear arms. And it's only open to registered voters in swing states. You do not register to join it. You have to be registered to sign it. And it does not require people to vote or be part of any type of political party. But since the program offers this, cash reward for people who refer others to sign the petition and offers a daily $1 million giveaway, where the winner is not declared the winner of a lottery, but instead the spokesperson for the initiative, some critics say that's illegal, including this new lawsuit. They suggest also on the other side of it, aside from the lottery laws, they're suggesting it could incentivize people to register to vote in order to potentially win that money, right? It's creating incentive to register to vote. Others say the initiative is not about paying people to register, since it's about an online petition, and also note that it's similar to the way that political organizations hire focus groups. If you want to be part of a focus group for a PAC or something like that, you are oftentimes required to be a registered voter. Now, does that incentivize people to become registered voters in order to get hired for that? That's the question, right? Now, Musk allegedly also received a warning recently from the Department of Justice over that initiative. That was never made public. We never got official confirmation on this. I believe CNN had the exclusive. Elon Musk's America PAC did appear to stop the giveaway for one day, but they continued it right after, and they did both the day after. So it looked like they kind of stepped back, did a quick legal analysis, and then kept going because maybe they believe they're in the legal clear on this. Now, look, in other news, another story, in what has been broadly deemed the October surprise, right? Donald Trump is again being accused of being a fascist. I'll be talking more about this after we come back from a quick break. In the end, Hurricane Milton down in Florida, the issue of survivability has now become all the more important. We talked to EJ about what to do to prepare for another emergency.
It all starts with what we call PACE. Have a primary, an alternate, contingency, and an emergency. And you plan those four things in PACE for everything, whether it's the plan, whether it's items, so that you got backups to the backup to the backup. And in the wilderness, as well as in this event, you want shelter and security, water, fire, and food. Those are four critical things that these folks need. The other thing people forget about is your vital paperwork. So you want to have that in a big Ziploc bag, like a freeze dryer bag. You want to have your marriage licenses, your birth certificates. You want to put your wallet in there, a self-inflatable raft, and a life jacket for every member of the household.
being broadly framed as the October surprise. Donald J. Trump is being accused of being a fascist. Now, the recent rollout of that narrative started with articles claiming that Trump cited Hitler and said he did some good things. The story came from his former White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly. Others who were around Trump and Kelly at the time said that Trump never said such statements. Trump denies saying it, but Kelly has stood by his allegations. And this has now been broadly reported. Vice President Kamala Harris also held a press conference where she criticized Donald Trump over these allegations. But now it's being alleged there are mixed opinions among Democrats on whether that narrative is going to be a winning part of the strategy. This is Politico. It says this. They say Kamala Harris's hammering of Donald Trump's authoritarian rhetoric, again, this is Politico, is alarming some Democrats in this critical swing state who fear that message is falling flat. They say voters, they argue, have grown desensitized to Trump and the warnings about him. Well, that makes sense because, all right, folks, pop quiz. How many of you have heard somebody call Trump a fascist? How many of you actually care at this point? Have you been desensitized by hearing that over and over again? You tell me. They say here that polls not only show the economy remains the top concern here in these swing states, but that Trump holds the advantage on it. And activists worry that Harris's attack on Trump are distracting from her strongest issue, abortion rights. Now, I just got back from Georgia. This was my exact experience. I talked to people on both sides. I talked to a lot of Democrats. I talked to a lot of people who are going to vote Democrat. I talked to a lot who are going to vote Trump. It's pretty close, I'll be honest with you all. I can tell you, I don't think I really heard anyone, maybe like one or two people, and I talked to like maybe 40 or more people. I only heard a couple people talk about, Trump's, I don't think I heard fascist come up once. But some people believe that, he's crazy, quote unquote, or things like that. You don't hear fascist. Almost across the board, what every single person almost talked about was economy, and then a lot of women care about abortion. That was about it. For almost every single person I talked to in Georgia, a swing state, economy was the biggest issue. And again, for women voters, abortion was, for almost all of them said abortion. Whether it's women's rights of, right to be a mother, or women's rights and the right to have an abortion, right? That was basically the argument. On this point, people are questioning whether this, whether them focusing on this narrative is a winning strategy or a losing strategy. Now, there are, of course, different takes on it, depending on who you ask. If you turn to the New York Times, right, they say aides around Harris, Kamala Harris, believe the fascist label is working. They say this is a functioning strategy against Trump, meaning the people on the swing states are saying it's not working. The people around Harris are saying it is. And so it seems that while the swing states are saying focus on the economy, focus on abortion and things like that, the aides around Kamala are saying focused on, labeling Trump a fascist. New York Times says this. New York Times says, as the presidential contest enters the final sprint, campaign aides and allies close to Vice President Kamala Harris are growing cautiously optimistic about her chances of victory, saying the race is shifting in her favor. They say top Democratic strategists are increasingly hopeful that the campaign's attempt to cast former President Donald J. Trump as a fascist, paired with an expansive battleground state operation and strength among female voters still energized by the end of federal abortion rights, will carry Miss Harris to a narrow triumph. And they say even some close to Mr. Trump worry that the push to label him a budding dictator who praised Hitler could move small but potentially meaningful numbers of persuadable voters. Take it as you will, right? Now, look, when it comes to the label of, fascist, remember, it's been used against Donald Trump going all the way back to 2016. The question of whether it's going to change the way people vote, well, if it was going to change the way people vote, why didn't it work in 2016? If it was going to change the way people vote, well, again, Trump technically lost in 2020. But was it that label or was it something else, right? That's the big question. Something that was brought up to me by some, Black American voters I talked to while in Georgia. People said, "Well, remember what happened in 2020? That was the Black Lives Matter riots, which took place right around that time." And again, a lot of black voters coming out in swing states, they were credited as bringing in a lot of votes, frankly. You had the Democrat grassroots, which tends to be more like, Democrat Socialists of America and kind of the more far left groups, which were doing the BLM riots at that time. And those groups now, where are they at? A lot of them are very pro-Gaza, and a lot of them are having issues, let's say, with the current administration because of Gaza and Israel. The question is, will a new label that's actually just an old label actually move that bar, right? Again, when I was talking to people, the economy was the biggest concern, raised by almost every person I talked to. The only ones who did not mention economy talked about abortion. That was about it. That was across party lines. That was among people who said they were voting for Kamala, and that was also true for people saying they're going to vote for Trump. Economy, quality of life. And, it's interesting, too, that economic troubles are becoming bigger in swing states, meaning the issue that matters to the people, where people are going to vote and possibly change the way the election turns out, what do they care about? Well, again, economy, their basic quality of life. Can they afford groceries? Can they afford gas? Can they afford rent? Do they believe that they're getting enough, benefits from what they put in as they're giving? Right? Do they believe they're getting enough back from it, or do they believe it's going somewhere else? Now, NBC News is reporting that in key swing states, lines at food banks are getting longer, and they say this is a sign that life for many people is getting more difficult. NBC News said this. They say across the rural communities and industrial towns of western Michigan, semi-trucks hauling thousands of pounds of food are pulling up to church parking lots and community centers where growing lines of people are waiting for a few boxes of free groceries. One truck can carry enough food for up to 600 households, but some days even that isn't enough to meet the demand. Imagine daily more than 600 households needing food. They note this has gone up by 18% over the past 12 months, 1 year, said Ken Estelle, president of Feeding America West Michigan. He said, quote, "We have never seen this level of need in the 43 years we've been serving this community. It is significantly higher than during COVID and has pressed us beyond our capacity," said Estelle. Adding, quote, "We've just seen this drumbeat increase every month of more people and more people." And they note that from rural Michigan to mid-sized towns in Pennsylvania and affluent suburbs in Wisconsin, swing states, they say food banks are reporting record levels of need that have been steadily increasing for the past several years. What has happened over the past several years, right? And they say despite rising wages and low unemployment rates, read into the actual numbers, where are the jobs going? It's government jobs and a lot of illegal immigrant jobs, right? But hey, unemployment is down because they imported 11 million people that need jobs, right? And they say that many households continue to struggle with escalating costs that have depleted their savings and increased credit card debt. We have record credit card debt right now. And they said this is leaving little money left over at the end of the month to put food on the table, food bank directors said. Folks, again, economic troubles, economic situation, can't afford groceries. This was the biggest issue that I personally heard from almost every single person I talked to across party lines. Almost everybody raised the issues with the economy. That is in Georgia. That is in a swing state. Based on, again, I talked to more than 40 people, well over that. Based on the people I talked to, this is the biggest concern. That is what matters to them most. Again, that and a lot of women cared about abortion. That was it. Many people also told me when it comes to political labels and other conflicts, right? Because I included this question. When I was talking to people, I said, well, for you, what is the state of the country? What are your thoughts about the state of the country? You know what I did not hear? I did not hear, well, we're worried about the threat of fascism. I did not hear that, I don't think even once. What people told me was that they're concerned about the divisions, that they do not think the political fighting is good for the country. They don't like the name calling. They don't like the divisiveness. And I heard that from Democrats, just as much as I heard it from Republicans. It was both sides saying they don't like that. They think we're in an unhealthy state in this country. Again, Democrats and Republicans telling me the exact same thing. For that point, I did not meet a single person who was hostile towards me. Not a single person gave me a hard time. Not a single person was aggressive. Not a single person, Democrat or Republican, was in any way mean to me or anything like that. All of them were pretty moderate. And again, when you talk about the difference between the average person and the people pulling levers at government, there's a difference. These were not hostile people. These were not people looking for divisiveness. These were not people looking to call people names. These were people worried about putting food on the table, and that was their biggest concern. Now, like on the other side of this, though, many people do not like Trump. Do not like the idea of this. Some people do think Trump, is a fascist. I think actually, if you go back over the last several years, people who are already sold on one side or the other of the political aisle. For example, if you talk to people who are more politically engaged, if you talk to people who watch the news every single day, if you talk to people in New York City, right, and some of the more solid blue states, and you ask them, what do you think of Trump? Well, they'll say, well, I think he's a danger to democracy. I think he's a fascist. You will hear that in some solid blue states. I did not hear that in the swing states, right? And the big question is whether this label, calling Trump a fascist, is going to actually change the opinion of voters who, again, have been hearing this going back to 2016. The issue is not talking to the choir. The issue is not preaching to people who already agree with you. The issue is convincing people to change their votes. And so the question on whether this label is effective or not is going to be whether it can win over voters in swing states. Do they care about that? Is that what affects their well-being? Well, we'll find out. Well, everyone, that's all for tonight. Thank you for joining us. And as always, please take care of yourselves, stay informed, and stay free.